overheard my family planning to humiliate me at Christmas, but they had no idea I'd already made a decision that would ruin their entire plan. A few days before Christmas, I was at my parents' house helping my mom bring decorations up from the basement when I went downstairs looking for tape and heard my brother Ethan laughing. "Just wait until Dad opens it," Amelia laughed and said, "and then Mom can finally tell him." My mom lowered her voice and said, "He'll have nowhere to hide once everyone knows." Then Dad said, "Just don't ruin Christmas before dinner." Amelia asked, "What if he gets angry?" My mom laughed. "That's the fun part." I froze because they were obviously talking about me. I could have walked upstairs and confronted them, but instead I quietly grabbed my coat and left. On the drive home, I kept wondering what exactly they had planned to reveal, and then I realized something else. I'd spent years helping this family financially. When Dad needed money for repairs, I paid. When Amelia's car broke down, I covered the bill. When Ethan's business struggled, I loaned him $20,000. I never kept score because they were my family. Then, my grandfather left me some property and an investment account, and I sold the property to start my own business. It took years, but eventually that business became profitable. That's when my family started treating my success like their personal emergency fund. After Ethan borrowed $20,000 from me and casually told everyone I had more money than I knew what to do with, I stopped telling them anything about my finances. Apparently, they didn't like that. Christmas Eve, Mom called and asked, "Oh, you're still coming tomorrow, right?" I said, "Of course," she replied. "Good, don't be late." She sounded way too happy. The next evening, I arrived at 6 and everyone was already there. Mom hugged me like nothing had happened. Dinner started at 7. Ethan kept looking at me, Amelia was smiling, and Dad looked completely confident. Then Mom stood up and said, "I have something special for everyone." She returned with a huge wrapped box with my name on it. "Go ahead," she said. "Open it." I slowly pulled off the wrapping and found a framed picture of me standing outside my business. Across the glass, someone had written, "Our little money machine." Everyone laughed. Mom smiled. Ethan leaned back proudly, and Dad tried to hide his grin. Then Mom said, "We thought it was time you remembered where you came from." I stared at the picture, looked at her, and calmly asked, "Did you enjoy my gift?" Her smile disappeared. "What?" I reached into my coat and placed an envelope in front of Ethan. "Your $20,000 loan. I transferred it to collections yesterday." His face went completely blank. Then I placed another envelope in front of Amelia. "The money I've been paying toward your car? That's over." Then I placed one in front of Dad. "The money I gave you for the house repairs? It was never a gift." Finally, I placed an envelope in front of Mom. She opened it, read the first page, and her face changed instantly. "What is this?" she asked. "The notice that I'm no longer paying the monthly expenses for this house." She stared at me. "You can't do that." I smiled. "I already did." The room went completely silent. Ethan finally snapped, "You're seriously doing all this over a joke?" I looked directly at him and said, "It wasn't a joke. You planned it for weeks." Nobody had anything to say. I picked up the framed picture and handed it back to Mom. "You can keep this." Then I stood up. Mom followed me into the hallway. "Where are you going?" she asked. "Home." She looked at me and said, "It's Christmas." I nodded. "I know." She grabbed my arm and asked, "You're really leaving?" I gently pulled away and said, "You gave me my Christmas gift. I'm just finally returning it." I walked outside, and before I even reached my car, my phone started ringing. Mom. I ignored it. It rang again. Then again. Finally, I answered. "Where are you?" she demanded. "Driving home." "You can't just leave." I looked back at the house through my windshield and said, "Actually, Mom, I can." Then I hung up. For the first time in years, Christmas ended without me paying for everyone else. And honestly, that was the best Christmas gift I could have given myself.